Hi, it's Friday Soul Chat. I wanted to talk today, just touch on just some different things that are symptomatic or that are in the lives of people that have lived through trauma or are living through trauma. And so, one of the things I wanted to stress more than anything was I don't care how old you are, working through your trauma, dealing with your trauma, it is never too late to get to become who you were originally created to be, but you were prevented from becoming because of having to be in survival mode. You didn't get to use parts of your brain for other development, for the normal things that other kids are thinking about. um, you didn't have that luxury. Your luxury was more trying to find a way to not get beat, or to try to find a way to not get yelled at. um, you were just trying not to be a burden. And so you may actually even have gone into the people pleasing mode, which makes sense because then you maintain that into your adulthood, thinking that that's the way to avoid conflict, because you've already been so disappointed and had so much pain. Obviously you're trying to prevent other ways of having it, but you weren't taught any other ways. So that's all you know to do is, if I am not going to get in trouble with someone or disappoint them, then I must become whatever it is that that person needs me to be. That makes total sense. And your brain didn't get to totally develop. I'm even going to school. You couldn't focus on just the normal things that other kids might have been focusing on around the classroom and stuff. You maybe on your way out the door, you heard how stupid you are and how dumb you are, or for whatever you did that morning. All those things stay stuck in your brain. Even if you're not thinking about them at school, it still lingers with you. The energy goes with you and it's in you. And so nobody can see it. It's invisible. So you could actually look fine to everyone, but inside you're not fine. Your brain was stunted in its ability to develop, and our brains grow until they're 25. So depending on how many years you experience trauma or how many times you were traumatized, will determine to the degree that your brain's been affected from being able to grow. Which also, the good news is that you can regain that. You can definitely regain that, and I've seen that happen before. But you have to deal with the connections in your present life, like we've talked about before, that are stemming from your childhood. Like, for example, let's say if you grew up in a house where you got hit a lot, and usually nothing makes sense. Like, I know stories of kids that are just sitting near a parent and they're not doing anything. It's always out of the blue. That's what blows your mind. And so all of a sudden you're trying so hard to be not a problem, not a burden, and then you get smacked in the back of the head. And I've heard so many stories like, what was that for? I don't know. I just felt like doing it. Really, from a parent to a child. Or, well, I was really angry at your brother, but I couldn't reach him. So you were closer, so I smacked you. Those are the kind of things that, like, when they don't make sense, it goes so deep in you, you're so traumatized that things trigger you. I mean, those are the people that, as they get older, they can be standing somewhere, in public that's totally safe, and someone beside them can go up to scratch their head and they flinch because it's like they've been conditioned that they're going to get hit. And it does just follow you up into adulthood. So that was one of the things that I wanted to mention about, different areas of how it affects your relationships, your growth, and your view of yourself. The other thing I wanted to talk about is also one of the things that happens going the people pleaser route, or trying to just, be really calm and lay low, is you separate yourself from your feelings and from your mind, because what you think doesn't matter to the adults. And so your feelings don't matter. And so you just shut down. And then when that happens and you're separate from your body, then you do things that are not even good for your own health, or you just require so much of yourself that you deplete your energy all the time. And then that's when a lot of times physical illnesses become a part of your life. And your body is trying to let you know that what you're doing isn't connecting. It's not aligned with you. Your mind, body, and soul are not aligned, and that's one of the ways to tell is then you start having physical symptoms besides the emotional ones. Of feeling like you're too much um, or like a burden, but um, you couldn't have had your own existence. You talk too much. You're too emotional, you're too this, you're too that, you're just too much, and you just hear that all the time. And so it just makes you just have no self-worth. I mean, you can understand how valuable can you be if you're not worth anybody's time. But here's the confusing thing, and this is the thing that always gets a lot of people that I work with, is that these parents a lot of times can be parents that do really, really nice, kind things too. It's not like they're just bad all the time. It's just confusing because, let's say, for example, if a mom has a daughter, she may volunteer to be the Girl Scout leader or the Brownie leader. She may make all her kids clothes. She may take them to sports. She may, teach them different things like that. But most of the time, when I do, the reason that doesn't go in real deep, besides the fact that it's mixed in with the neglect and the abuse, is it doesn't go in real deep because a lot of times even the parent is doing that for themselves. Like it's meeting a need in them. Like maybe whatever they didn't have in their childhood, these are things that they always wish that they got to do. So they're doing it, but they're doing it in the vein through you. So you're more like a pawn. You're like an extension of them for these activities. And so that's another reason why it goes really, really deep, because it is confusing. You'll be talking about, on one hand, oh, I was just beaten real badly, but then in the next you're like, but my parents would take me on wonderful vacations, or they would do this for me or that for me. So you just have to remember that that's like kind of like the icing on the cake, so to speak, because your real soul core needs were not met, and that's why you were unable to enjoy those things, because they weren't what they really looked like they were. They were nice, kind things, but they couldn't go deep in you because it wasn't like me knowing you and seeking you out, and I see you and I hear you. Oh, I know you love to play that sport. I can't wait to go and take you. It doesn't have that feel to it at all, and you can tell the difference. So I just wanted to let you know these are some more things to pay attention to in your life when you're looking back and trying to make connections to the present. And I just keep wanting to reiterate that you can become who you were created to be in spite of what was done to you. The trauma separated you from that. Healing the trauma, you can integrate and be back to that. And I promise you, it doesn't have to take a long time. It does not require years. And I'm talking about, I've worked with severely traumatized people. And what saddens me all the time is to find out how many more years they lost going through therapy over things that, in my opinion, weren't necessary, because it didn't change anything. They were just more memories. I'm telling you that if it affects your present life, it will keep showing up, and then you'll know those are the things that I do need to deal with. If you can't say no to people, if you can't relax and be yourself, if you don't even know what being yourself is, I mean, it's like it gets down to the nitty gritty, and there's nothing wrong with you. This is what was done to you. This isn't who you are. So I just wanted to share some more of those things, and then next week I think what we'll do is talk about just different roads that you can go down as a result of your trauma, so that you can hopefully identify with some of these patterns in your life and get set free, because there's nothing in the world that would feel better than that, than to you to get to be yourself. and to be free. So I hope you have a great weekend and love you guys. And we'll see you again next Friday for Soul Chat.